So thank you so much for joining this session. This session is brought to you by the Transformation Professionals Club. The Transformation Professionals Club is a community of professionals that are looking forward to connecting, learning, growing, and being able to earn more. So we mainly focus on economic empowerment, and through that, we create various programs, skilling programs, opportunities for connection and networking. We do a lot of things that are to support professionals. So I'm glad that today we are hosting Mr. Alfred Agaba, who is one of our cheerleaders. When we started the Transformation Professionals Club, he was one of those key pillars of wisdom when we're starting this journey. So we're glad that we have him on this call, and we have many of you that have joined in. So we're going to learn a lot from Mr. Alfred Agaba. I know some of you must have seen his title on our flyers as human being. When we asked him to share with us his profile, he still said he wants to be referred to as a human being. So as we're going through the session, we are going to understand why does he refer to himself as that. But also, one of the things I maybe just share personally is I've known Alfred for a long period of time. I think from around 2016, maybe now 10 years. And how I knew Alfred from his work. One of my friends was working with an organization where he was supporting them greatly. And I also followed his journey and got a chance to have a conversation with him last year when he was trying to make his transition. When you look at his journey, how he was able to move, he's also an alumni of KPMG where I work, having left after serving a few years to jump into what somebody might call a small organization. He has a lot on his journey, and one of the things that we're going to listen from him is how he's been able to move. And I know to all of you that have joined in here, you might have either you are in a job and you're looking for ways of how to transition, either you don't have a job and you want to see how can you still find yourself and find something else to do. There could be different reasons why you're here, and we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming, and we believe that we are going to learn. So I want to invite Alfred to be able to take us from here. Alfred, you're most welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Coach Samuel. Can you hear me very well, loud and clear?
Yes, I can hear you. My audience, please confirm that if you can hear Mr. Alfred.
I can hear
Great.
Mr. Alfred.
Great. So
Right.
proceed.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Samuel, for inviting me to really share my life with TPC members. I was very excited when we talked about this, when we sat and just discussed a bit of this. I was very excited about coming through to share a bit about my life. I know the person I know the most about is myself, so I'll share a bit of my story and my movements. I'll share some bits generally that we can learn about transitions as well, because I've seen some of the questions people were asking as they were signing in, and I've tried to see some of the questions I can, bundle together and address. And then I'll seek to draw out some lessons. I have, over time, just picked up some key lessons from my story, which I'll just summarize for us. About 10 lessons I can say I've drawn from my life. And I'll open it up to, get any questions. And if I can respond to them, I'll be glad to do that. I hope that's a fair plan of how we go about today.
Great. It is. Thanks.
Right. Hopefully, before we finish, you'll figure out why I want to be called and referred to as human being as we progress through the day. But I'm going to tell my story. I'm going to tell my story from the beginning of my career, working it all the way up to where it is today. So I'll share a bit of that. And then away from that, I will start to get a bit more into the details and what I get to learn from my story. I hope, really hoping that people will be able to draw one or two or three things from my story. I know it's a personal story. I'm hoping you'll be able to pick one or two things that you can draw out. Right. I want to say I'm one of those, I don't know if I'm lucky, but one of those lucky people who seem to have figured out a little bit earlier in life what it is that I wanted to do. But I will begin as far back as my senior five in secondary school. So in my senior five, I was a prefect in King's College, Budo. I was a library prefect. And one of the things I used to do as a library prefect is one of the privileges I had was I would have access to newspapers, and I'd just read through newspapers every day. Go to the library, read what is going on in Uganda at the time, and there's some headlines that used to catch my attention. I do recall sometimes you'd read something like drugs in national medical stores expire, and then after that you read something like stock out of drugs in Padea. Now, I get disturbed. On the one hand, you have drugs expiring in national medical stores, and then you have a stock out all the same drugs in Padea. And I'm thinking, these adults, can't they figure out something to be able to know that we need to get a solution for moving these drugs to the other side? Or another moment, you read something like, I'm just trying to remember, funds, corruption scandals, funds from ex-ministry disappear. And those things just kept disturbing me. And there's a way I felt them just calling out to me, and I felt there is something I can do about this. So I asked myself, what is it that I can do what course can I do at university that can help me to help organizations, figure out all these things? And then I figured a course called Bachelor of Commerce. So in making my choices, I made my choices. I went to university. I began doing a Bachelor of Commerce at the university because commerce helps you to understand how different organizations operate, how their systems are. So I get in there. Now, a very quick story about my time in joining at the university is, I do recall in my very first lecture, the head of accounting department coming in and saying, if you are among the top 5 students, you will have jumped the poverty line. If you are among the top 5, you will have jumped the poverty line. Now here I was, I didn't have people who will link me to jobs in the future. I didn't have technical know-who, is what we used to call it at the time. So I said, I am jumping this poverty line. I will do what it takes to be among the top 5 in BCom. So there starts my 3 years start, and I start learning. Now something happens while I'm at university. A lecturer comes and begins to teaches some concepts, and people don't understand the concepts. And says, you will understand later. I don't know if you guys had any such lecturers who said, you will understand over time. These things you will get. And I would be disturbed. I'm thinking, why is he saying they will understand later? Why can't the concept seem simple? So I'll go to the library, pick text myself, collect it in a way that they would easily understand them. And we got to a point where some people would go for these lectures and don't even pay attention because they know, hey, once the lecture is done, Alfred is going to take us through these things and we'll understand them. Somehow, I had a gifting of being able to break down things and make them easy for people to understand. Now, McHugh, the lecturer, said that if you are among the top 5, you will jump the poverty line. Helping my colleagues to pass their numbers and to do well meant I was creating competition for myself. I was creating people who might be among the top 5 and take my position, and I failed to do this thing. But somehow, for some reason, I was not thinking about that. What was calling out to me was, these guys are struggling with this number. It looks very easy. They're struggling with this concept. It looks very easy. Let me find a way of breaking it down for them to understand. I will get back to this kind of thing. where something within you begins calling out to you, and you begin taking action that you're not able to logically explain. Like in my case, I was creating competition for myself. I was risking not being among the top 5 by getting people to understand these concepts. Okay, long story short, I was not in the top 5, but I was the top 1. I thank God. I became top number 1 in my year. Maybe God also saw that as I was helping others to excel, that clarified and made things clearer for me. So for some reason, I felt something was calling out to me. Now, the ability to break down things and explain things to people using language that they can understand that is accessible to them, I had no idea what was happening in my life. I just thought I'm helping my friends. But little did I know that there was something within there around being able to facilitate sessions, to be able to train, to be able to, I didn't know that at the time. I will say at some point later that when purpose calls you, you begin to do certain things that you yourself may not find logical at the moment. Purpose was calling me, and I was not thinking about being among the top 5 at that time, but I was thinking about let me help these people. Remember, in S5, I'm talking about how do I help organizations fix these things that I'm seeing in the newspapers. Long story short, 3 years end, and by the end of university, I get 3 job opportunities. Actually, before I even finished, I think that was about June of the year, and we're going to finish a bit later. I got 3 job opportunities, actually 4. One was to be retained to lecture in accounting department, I think because maybe the teacher saw I could explain very well. Another was to be retained to lecture in the finance department. Another was to join Uganda Securities Exchange. It was just starting those years. You should guess how old I am by then. It was not there, it was just starting. Another was to join KPMG, which is an audit firm. Now, let me backtrack. When my lecturer said that when you among the top 5 will jump the poverty line, he was saying KPMG would simply come to the university and say, give us your top 5 students, we'll interview them, and we'll take 3 or 4. And that was just it. What happened? KPMG comes, interviews a couple of us, and takes 4 of us. And I'm among those 4. But I chose KPMG for this reason. I asked myself, which of these 4 jobs is going to help me understand how organizations operate fastest so that I can help any different type of organization? I did my research. I talked to people in KPMG. I talked to people in Uganda Securities Exchange. And I figured I needed to join an audit firm, KPMG. So you're seeing the choice I am making. Thankfully, I had options. I know that many times people don't have those many options, but I had the options. So in making my choice to join KPMG at the time, I was looking for that. Within 2.5 years, I'd audited banks, I'd audited fuel companies, I'd audited manufacturing companies, I'd audited telecom companies, I'd audited NGOs, I'd audited manufacturing, fast-moving consumer goods, I'd audited insurance companies. I began understanding. So this is how oil companies operate. This is how, and I began to get some patterns. Okay, I began to get some patterns and to learn how all systems operate of all organizations. I got to a point where you get me, put me in any organization, whether it's an airline company, whatever it is, I would figure out how it operates and be able to support them. This was leading me towards being that person. Now, up until that point, by the way, I did not know what the word consultancy means. I didn't know what it was. I didn't even, at the time. But I began realizing that what I was being called to do was to be a consult to businesses. Me, I said, I want to organizations figure out these things, put structures in place, put certain systems, put strategy in place, have direction. I began getting clarity of what those things are called in English. I joined KPMG. I worked for less than 2.5 years. And I went and I told the partner, I want to leave. I have learned how all these organizations work. I want to leave. That's my first deal. He called me and sat with me and asked me, Alfred, why do you want to leave? And where are you going? So I said, I'm leaving and I'm going to join a local firm. And that firm was called Acclaim Africa Limited. So he asked me, why do you want, no, he asked me, in how many countries is Acclaim Africa Limited? I said, one. And then he asked me, in how many countries is KPMG? I said, it's global. He said, how can you leave a global firm to join a local firm? I said, I've seen some good consultants. I want to go and learn how to do consulting from there because I intend to start my consultancy firm to help organizations fix them. I was 24-year-old people. I know people at 20 thinking, and for some reason, I think God just helped me to have a clarity at that age. And he looked at this young boy and thinking, you are one of our stars. We're going to fly you out, go and work in South Africa for a while, go and work in USA for a while, and then we bring you back as a manager. Why are you leaving now? And for some reason, I told him, you know what? I think South Africa, I will go on my own terms, and I will go for holiday. Even US, I think I will go, and I will go for holiday. Friends had never left Uganda by the time I was saying those things. But for some reason, I was just saying, I will go and I'll go on my terms and for holiday. So I don't need to stay here just because you're promising me South Africa. I want to learn consulting. That was what was driving me. So I left and I joined Acclaim Africa Limited. And in my interview in Acclaim Africa Limited, interestingly, I was asked the exact same question by the MD as he interviewed me. He said, why do you leave a global firm and join a local firm that's in one country? And I told him, I want to be able to learn how to do consulting because I've seen good consultants here, so I can start my consulting firm and be able to do work across Africa. So I remember the MD asking me, so you want to compete with us? You mean after that? I said, no, I will want to collaborate with you, maybe, not to compete. But if you want to compete, we will compete. I was a 24-year-old, very ambitious boy with all these big words and big ambitions, He laughed and, but they let me in. So I worked in for about 3.5 years. I grew from accounting consultant. I began learning a couple of things. I tried out accounting work because I've been in audit. Now I wanted to try out real accounting, which I did. After 1 year, I went to him and I said, I came here to do consulting work. I've been doing accounting. I want to do consulting work. And these are the kind of things I want to be able to learn and try out. And he mentioned to me, look, we don't yet have that department that does those things, so you're going to have to wait. I recall around about that time, PwC reached out to me and said, I think we're looking for some people to be senior auditors. I said, Alfred, could you join us and be a senior auditor? I said, I don't want to do audit. I want to do consulting to help organizations. Having been in audit, I'd known that auditors would come and tell people, we want you to improve by next year, but we couldn't improve them. And I wanted to be one of those helping the people to improve, the organizations to improve. So PwC said, fine, come give us 1 year in audit, and then you will go to consulting. I said, great. I went back to Acclaim to my MD and I said, I'm going to be leaving and joining PwC because they've given me 1 year in audit, and after that, to join consulting. My MD came back to me and said, those things you said you wanted to do, I think you can do them now. I said, oh, okay, thank you. So I went back to PwC and said, friends, I can't join you. Acclaim has said, I can do consulting now. Goodbye. I began doing consulting in Acclaim. What is driving me? I want to learn to do consulting very well so that I can start my consulting firm and do consulting across Africa. 3.5 years down the road, I began that department and I'd risen and I was heading that department. I mentored people who could take up from me. I went to the MD and I said, I have learned how to do consulting. Now, I want to first try industry. On the other side, I've been an auditor, I've been a consultant. I have not got my hands dirty to do. I want to go and try out so I can learn how it works the other side. Then I start my consulting firm. So I got an opportunity to work at Coca-Cola, Uganda, as country planning manager. I spent there exactly 3.5 months, which was my probation period. Within month number 1, I figured out that this was not going to help me to be better at consulting and to help me to start my consulting firm. So I told them I was going to live through my probation period, and there are things I would help them change and put in place, and I would leave and start my firm. I was, by the way, in these departures, I was leaving without a job. I was leaving because it was time in my mind. So I leave, and as I'm about to start my consulting firm, KPMG reaches out to me again. And they ask me, they wanted to start a new department that carries out internal audits for clients, outsource internal audits. Say, help us start this thing. I said, look, I want to start my consulting firm. And they said, help us start this thing, then you can leave after that. I said, fine, I'll give you 3 years. After 3 years, I will leave and I will start my consulting. These discussions I would have in the interview, so that you know. If you're taking me on, please know, I am here, I'm on a journey. And I'm going to come and learn. While I'm here, I will give it my all, but I will leave. Long story short, I gave them 1 year because they were holding me back quite a lot, and I figured this won't happen. 2009, I started my consulting firm, which was called Smart Consulting and Limited. And I purposed, and I told everyone who cared, I am going to do consulting across Africa. And I know people would say, why don't you want to do consulting first in Masaka, Mbarara, Mbale? Why are you thinking Africa? First start here. I said, but for me, my heart is Africa, and that's where I feel I have been called to serve. Long story short, in my very first year of running my consultancy firm, I think I did work in Nigeria, in South Sudan, in Malawi, in South Africa, and in Ethiopia. I had been talking about this Africa for a very long time since I was young. Doors kept opening and I kept doing work there. Long story, after about 7 years or so, I had done work in 22 countries, most of them sub-Saharan Africa, a few in Asia, a few in Europe, and a few in South America. Now, guess what happened? In 2016, Acclaim Africa came and they said, why don't we merge our practices? We like what you're doing. Do you like what we're doing? I said, look, I value your values. I learned my values from you. We discussed with my team that I had at Acclaim Africa at the time, at Smart Consult at the time. We joined hands. Guess who recommended me to join hands back with Acclaim? My MD in 2004, when I was 24 years old, who I told, if you want us to collaborate, we will collaborate. And indeed, here we were coming to collaborate with a firm many years later. That was 2004, and here we were 2016, 12 years later. And we merged operations. I joined Acclaim Africa as a shareholder and as managing director. That's 2016. And I ran that for 10 years up to last year in 2025. And went on to do work in many other countries. I think we did work in about 31 countries, in all continents, but mostly sub-Saharan Africa. And that's where my target was. What was I doing all along? What I had said I wanted to do across the entire journey. Last year, I stepped down from the leadership of Acclaim Africa Limited because it was my time to transition out. I am 46 years old now. And in my mid-30s, I said, by the time I'm in my mid-40s, I will be serving mostly on boards, and I will be doing a lot of mentorship of people in leadership. If you've been to my LinkedIn profile, you should see a lot of things on leadership. And that's just the beginning. I am going to be sharing a lot of leadership conversations, which will morph into writing, which will morph into podcasts, which will morph into... The other thing I talked about in my S5, I want to help organizations, leaders in these organizations, think in a particular way. Okay? Think in a particular way, put certain structures in their businesses, put certain systems in their businesses. The guy in Senior 5 who read that newspaper is the guy today. The things that I am doing today, the things that I'm writing today are things that are related, very well linked. Now, the things I haven't told you is along the way, I got many jobs. People would come, there was an opportunity for me to work in Switzerland. I want to give you this job to work in Switzerland. Question one would be, is it going to help me do work in Africa? No. Is it going to help me build organizations and strengthen them and put systems and what? No. Sorry, I'm not coming. My friend, I was making those decisions when the money that I was earning compared to the money that these guys wanted to give me, the money was big. But I made decisions because of the money I was going to earn. I made decisions based on where my purpose was aligned to, and what it is I was going to be doing. Oh, the things I said I was going to do in my 30s, yes, I serve on a couple of boards, which I don't have to mention. I think you'll see them again on my profile. Now I'll come to the title thing as I pause on that before I finish that part of the story. I hold a lot of titles. I serve on many boards. I serve in all these places, but titles that I hold do not define who I am. My purpose is what defines who I am. So the titles that you hold are temporary. So people who are busy calling me Chairman Alfred, Director Alfred, and all those things, I even cringe at hearing those names because I don't see myself as that. I see myself as Alfred Brian Agaba, human being, first and foremost, not as all those things. Because now I'm not one people who wanted to call me MD. I would be there feeling like, oh my God, what are they going to call me? My title is gone. I actually do recall one time in Acclaim Africa, one of the staff came and told me, oh, good, it was in the morning, good morning, Managing Director, MD. I said, good morning, Admin Assistant. And she laughed and said, why are you calling me that? And I said, why are you also calling me that? Because you're saying, if you think MD is not my identity, then Admin Assistant, I mean, why are we calling ourselves by our titles? Just call me Alfred, and Alfred is enough. And I don't need any title to bring identity to me. I don't need any title to bring worth to me. My name is heavy enough. It's adequate for them in trust. In short, all the moves that I have been making have been purpose-driven. My departure, even from Acclaim recently, have been heavily purpose-driven. It's been about what it is. In fact, if someone tries to take purpose away from me, that is where we collide. That's how we would collide. Titles you can have, those you can keep. But if it is my purpose, then there we fight. Now, a couple of things I just want to talk about. I saw some questions. That was a bit about my story. I saw some questions, people asking, how do I transition from one job to the other? How do I transition from, some people say from NGO to business? How do I transition from employment to business? How do I know how to transition? I'm just going to first give us some three things of what I think is very important. And then in closing there, I will just take you through 10 lessons that I believe I have picked as I reflected upon my life in as far as transitioning and also career building are concerned. One, terms of before the 10, just talking about some of the things that help you across the board. How do you transition? One, you need to learn how to transfer your skills. Transferable skills. Now, for some of us in primary, they teach you 2 eggs plus 2 eggs is 4 eggs. Now, when someone asks you, how about 2 tomatoes plus 2 tomatoes? Say, that one. It means being able to transfer the understanding that the same thing of 2 eggs plus 2 eggs can be transferred to 2 tomatoes plus 2 in KPMG. I had zero work. What is it that you have that we are able to use that makes you different from the rest of your colleagues that would cause us to take you on? And I said, I'm a chess player. I was a chess captain in school. I said, I'm a chess player. And through chess, I have strategy. I think problem solving. I stick with a problem for long. I can be on the board for 3 hours thinking about this problem and creating ways around it. Two, what an audit and consulting firm required. Another bit, I said I also was a lead actor so many times. The fact that I could stand before a stage of 100, 200, 500 people as a lead actor means I can stand before clients and make presentations without fear. Is that not the kind of person that you want? They said, yes, that's the person that we want. Transferability of skills. You look at your skills and say, how can I transfer them Don't think, oh, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how, but can you transfer your skills? Think about transferability of your skills. I'll talk about another common one. Mothers. Ladies step off their jobs a bit to spend a couple of years, sometimes raising their children, 3, 4 years. My goodness, the amount of skills that you build raising a baby, working 24 hours, waking up at 3 a.m., managing a maid here, going to hospital, making sure there's food at home. You learn a lot of skills, multi-skilled, things you didn't have before the baby came. You should be. And then when it comes to your CV, you say, oh, what happened in those 3 years? You say, in those 3 years, I was there, trying, doing things. I was at home. Don't apologize about going home and looking after your children. Come back and say, this is what I've been doing in the past 3 years, looking after my baby and also my husband. This is what I've been doing. This is a transferability of my skills that I learned as I looked after my children at home. Those are skills that you can transfer. Now, for me, I go to a point where a lady who has been looking after their kids comes. I'm very interested. I want to see how they can transfer those skills into the job place. One who has done that and one who has not are two different people. Transferability of skills. You're going to do an audit of your own skills, of exposures that you've been to, and ask yourself, how can I transfer this skill from this setting to another? Some of you used to talk a lot in class. When you're young, you say, this one talks too much. My friend, the skill of talking too much now is what you need on radio. For someone to be on radio, they have to talk too much and on their own, If you can't talk to yourself, you can't be on radio. Now, transferability of the skill of talking too much has crossed. Me, the skill I was using to explain accounting numbers to my friends is a skill I have used and earned money from and trained in Nigeria, trained in Cameroon, trained in South Africa, trained in Kenya, trained in Zambia, trained in Mozambique, trained in Asia, trained where? Because I transferred a skill of being able to break things down and explain them. It doesn't call for big skills. No, I know how to break things down. I have made money from just knowing how to break things down. I have another skill that I used to ask teachers so many questions. And sometimes they'll say, but Agaba, you have too many questions. I can tell you, in a number of boards that I sit on, I got those jobs because of my ability to ask questions. Many times I'm asked to facilitate strategy sessions because of my ability to ask questions that people have not thought about. I'm earning money from asking questions. Sometimes I am taken away for a weekend. Don't write anything. Just ask us questions that you haven't thought about. And I am paid. Transferability of skills. You might be looking at some of your skills and thinking, but mine is small. The skills I'm talking about, are they big? They're little things. What skills do you have that you can transfer to another job, to another space? That was one. 2, volunteering and apprenticeships. If you're in a career, you're an accountant, but you feel your heart and calling is in marketing or is in, then begin, while doing your accounting, begin volunteering in places where there is money. Volunteer, see what is there. If you want to start doing hair dressing, go and volunteer after work and just volunteer in a salon and say, volunteer, learn, put in the time. So volunteering and apprenticeships. When I left a big global firm to join a small firm whose name wasn't big, when I would go to clients in KPMG, I would just say, I'm coming from KPMG, and we'd win the deal. When I would come from a claim at that time, they'd say again, who are you again? Pardon? You'd have to explain yourself so well for people to know who you are. But because I knew I wanted to be an apprentice to certain people, sit at their feet and learn how to do this thing. Now I do it very well. Now I'm a global consultant. I have done consulting, like I said, on all 6 continents. But that came from sitting at people's feet and volunteering as well. So burn the candle doing that. Lastly, I will talk about my 10 lessons I believe I learned in this process, and then I will gladly take questions in this process. Lesson number 1, clarity of purpose is very important. It's very important to get clarity of purpose. And as you're making every move, you'll keep hearing the question I kept asking myself, will this contribute to the bigger picture? Will this contribute to my becoming a consultant? My ability, will it improve my ability to help organizations? Will it improve my ability to? I kept asking that question. And whenever the answer was no, I would say no to the question. I do recall sometime actually when I was going to leave a claim as a junior, and my MD asked me that time actually when I was going to leave to join PwC, he asked me, what are they going to pay you? We can match their salary. And I said, that's an insult to me. I told you the reason I wanted to go is because I want to do consulting. And you think increasing my salary is going to make me stay when I can't do the thing that aligns to my purpose? I mentioned that's an insult to me. Well, he apologized and said, what do you want to do? I said, consulting. But after that, I also said, please also match the salary that I was going to get the other side. Yeah? Yes. He also matched it anyway. So I managed to get the best of both worlds. Purpose, clarity of purpose, clarity of vision, and asking yourself whether this aligns to the bigger picture. Number 2, don't burn bridges. If you are leaving one place, please don't abuse everyone there is and burn bridges. Don't. I have worked in Acclaim twice. I have worked in KPMG twice. Reason, I never burnt bridges. I never burn. You never know who you're going to need along the way. You never know whether you need to come back from the other side of the river. Don't burn the bridge, please. Don't leave and abuse people as you go. That is 2. Number 3, if you think you are too big for small things, you might be too small for big things. If you think you are too big for small things, you just might be too small for big things. Put in the hours, put in the time. Do the smallest things that you need to do to rise from the beginning, from the least level, if you must, to grow and get to that point. I remember the very first business plan I did, I was teaching myself how to do business plans. And I did a small one. There's one I did, and I was paid 400,000 shillings, and I did it for 3 months. You can imagine how much profit I made. Nothing. 3 months, and I was paid 400,000 shillings. But those skills later on were able to lead me to making business plans for $50,000. I was able to put in the time. Whoever is faithful in the small or the little shall be exalted to greater. So don't think too big and not be able to do even the small things. 4, only a fool tests the depth of a river with both feet. I think that's an African proverb. Only a fool tests the depth of a river with both feet. First, put one foot and see, is it? Oh, I've stepped. Okay, then you put the other one. Like, don't just go and put both feet. That's what I was saying. Put in the time. Go and volunteer. Go and see how this thing feels like. And then you will know, it feels like it. Before you say me, I'm going wholesale, I'm quitting my job. What do you call it? I'm firing my boss. You fire your boss, you just fire your boss and go with both feet. You don't know where you're going. First, try out slowly. One of the things I did when I was leading at Acclaim Africa Limited is I asked my staff, the staff that I was leading, to start businesses. I said, start your businesses while you're here. Let's teach you even how to do your businesses very well. We even had staff expose of business. Come and show us your businesses and what you're doing so that you try. If a time comes and you need to go and run your business, then you can go. You can't just put your both feet in. Number 5. This one was taught to me by my headmaster in school. Every bottle sits on its own bottom. Every bottle sits on its own bottom. No, you cannot outsource muscle building. It is you who builds your own muscle. You can't say this one, I'll outsource. You have to trade the course to build the muscle yourself. There are things that people will not do for you, but you must do for yourself. You put in the time. And this is why the other thing of titles comes in. Because now if you're feeling you have a title, now you're feeling, but now with my title, you don't think I can do those ones, man of my stature. No. Put in the time. Number 6. A star cannot be hidden for too long. A star cannot be hidden for too long. This is why I'm saying this. Some of us say, okay, Alfred, for you are lucky. You were able to get in the job of your choice right from the very beginning. Now me, I'm in something different. I'm saying in that different thing that you're doing, do it so well. Shine. A star can't be hidden for too long. Shine. Shine until your destiny helper sees you and says, but this person, they don't belong here. I think they belong here. You do it with your whole, do it with your best. That bad thing that is not aligned to your current purpose, do it with your whole heart. Someone will notice. Someone will notice. And opportunities will start to provide themselves. They will say, there's something about Charity. She doesn't belong here. There's something about Arnold. He doesn't belong in this space. I think he belongs there. Your destiny helpers will find you shining where you are. That was number 6. Just keep shining. Number 7, your investment, your time investment along the journey is not wasted. Your time investment is not wasted because you're saying, I am doing this thing. It doesn't align to what I should be doing. It is wasting my time. Friend, it is not. I watched a clip about Steve Jobs, and they're saying that the dots finally connect. You might be in a job today to just pick a network. You might be in a job today to just pick a certain skill. You may be in a job today to just meet people who will open doors to you to take you to the other place that you're going. So your time investment is not wasted. You won't say, I wasted 6 years doing the wrong thing. No. The dots connect finally. Steve Jobs studied calligraphy. Calligraphy, these things of fonts and typography. That's what the guy studied. Now, how do you calligraphy, iPhone, calligraphy, a Mac? It is the calligraphy that he learned that was able to bring the quality of the font types that Macs use, that iPhones use. The dots connected finally. It was easy for him to say, why am I even studying how to write letters? Why should I be spending my time on this? Yet I should be creating software somewhere. No, the dots connect. He was able to use those skills. So whatever it is you're doing, do it so well, you will use those skills. I know someone who wanted to be an accountant, but he first studied, his parents paid for him school fees to be a doctor. He started as a doctor, he finished as a doctor. He went and said, Father, hey, here is your degree. I'm going to be an accountant. And he went to study accounting, and he finished accounting, began working in an audit firm. But in that audit firm, guess what kind of work that he had to do? Audits of medical facilities. All of a sudden, his doctorate, his medicine degree starts to come through. And then you have to start saying, sorry, Daddy, I'm happy that you actually allowed me to do medicine. Now I'm sorry, The dots connect. Don't despise anything. You have not wasted time. You have met people. You have changed people's lives. You have done something, because if you're doing it with your whole heart, you're changing someone's life. Even then, you don't know what that person whose life you're changing will do in future to open a door for you. So you're not wasting time. As you work towards finding your purpose, the time you're investing is not wasted. Number 8, it is good to be important, but it is more important to be good. It is good to be important, but it's just more important to be good. Carry a heart of service. Whichever role that you're in, just carry a heart of service. Purpose is never about us. Purpose is always about another person. It's always about making the life of another person lighter, making the life of another person easier, using your skills, using your abilities, while at it money comes into your pocket. But purpose is never about you. It's never about. So focus your heart on service. Number 9, I talked a bit about that. We are human first before anything else. Treat people humanly first. With humanity, compassion, it is said, compassion is the highest form of intelligence. Have compassion about people. Treat people with humanity. If it's the guy at the gate, if it's the tea girl, see them. Let them know that you see them. Some people want to see people and align with people who have certain titles. You go through a gate, you give a jumbo to the gate man. No, sit, stand there, ask him, say, what's your name? I'm Okello. Okello from where? I'm from Kumi. Hey, Kumi, hey, that's interesting. Hey, bye-bye, Yarama. As in, you build that, see him. Because very many times a guard at the gate is not seen, is not heard. If you're sitting in a restaurant and the waiter comes, find out who they are, find out about their lives, deal with them as a human being, call them by name if you have to. Then they know someone sees me. They don't say, hey, you come, take your bill, go away. I'm just giving examples of people that are around us, depending on who is where in your space. Deal with people humanly. Treat others. True wisdom lies in how we treat others and not how smart we appear. Finally, number 10. And last, your identity is not vested in your title. Your identity is not vested in your title. That is one of the biggest things in the corporate lie. Your identity is not in your title. Your name should be enough. I do recall watching something by Dr. Miles Monroe before he passed away, and he just said, your name should be enough. These titles can follow and do whatever they do, but your name should be enough. Let people think of Alfred Brian Agaba and think of that name and say, that name, that person changed my life. Let them think of it and say, that person, because he was in my life changed. Because I interacted with him, because I met him on this day, my life changed. I would like to think everyone who is on this call today, hopefully, will say, 10th April, I went and listened to Alfred. I learned something. My life was changed. And if I go with that, that is building my name, and that is what my name is. Even in the Bible, I know even to these days we have people in the church who like to have very big titles around them. Even Jesus was just called Jesus. Even Moses was just called Moses. But now you want very big names, senior prophetess, what, all those things. Just keep your name and you'll be fine. Someone was asking what was number 8. I said it's good to be important, but it's more important to be good, to carry a heart of service. Those are lessons that, as I have reflected through my life, from my teenage years going through, of course, they didn't all come at once. They're lessons, some of them I learned at an early stage and they've been growing over time. These are lessons for me that have taken through my life, and I still believe in, and they still take me to the doors that keep getting opened to me. Doors of service. That, ladies and gentlemen, is my story.
Wow.
Coach Sam.
Thank you so much, Alfred. This has been very, 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 what can I call it, wisdom. And thank you so much for really breaking it down. There are a lot of people that have made it in life that do not want to share their story. So please continue with those thank yous. And we really thank you for creating time for this conversation. So we're going to get into a question and answer session. You can use the chat box or you can raise up your hand and I'll give you the right to be able to speak to Alfred. So as the questions come through, I want to first ask a big question that I've gotten from the participants as we're starting. Could we speak about the aspect of money in transition? Because there are a lot of people, what is holding them from transition? Because transition means that you're going to start again. And sometimes there's a lot of uncertainty for people who have maybe transition at an earlier stage, maybe you transition at 24, maybe you had less responsibilities. The person who is maybe they're in an NGO, they are earning very well. When they think about the benefits, medical insurance, think about whatever comes with the role, the first thing they ask themselves, what next? Of course, it's also about how we have taken work. How has it been for you when it comes to the aspect of making sure that you're planning your finances to facilitate the decisions that align to your purpose?
Yeah, thank you, Coach Samuel. I love that you've asked that question which aligns very well to what I keep calling the corporate life. We know quite the corporate life. I just remove the F out. I say corporate life, where we get tied into certain spaces because of benefits that we receive from our current career, current role that we are holding. Maybe it's a bit of medical insurance, maybe, I don't know, fuel, I don't know, for some people, and all. So, for starters, I want to say that in some of the roles that I've held, I've had these benefits. But even when I had these benefits, mentally, I chose to not, even as I had these benefits, mentally, I knew this is my cost. Friends, it is your health insurance, it's your life, it is your responsibility. You know, I just knew even if they're paying this, I would keep mentally saying, if I were to pay this for myself, I'd be paying this much. Whenever I went to fuel a car, when my fuel was being paid for by the organization, I'd say, this is what I would be paying for myself. And sometimes then I'm able to say, okay, this much that I should have been paying for myself, since I'm not paying it, let me put it away in savings. Just for me to keep the knowledge of and the feeling of this money went off my account. And I would get it into savings. So where money was paid for me, I would try to, not always religiously, but I would try to just keep that mind and try to put it away as well in a saving. Just the awareness of there will be a time when these things will not be done for me. Now think about medical insurance. On average, what's the cost of medical insurance in a company that they pay for you? Somewhere, I don't know, between maybe 1.2 and maybe 1.5, I don't know, per life. Now, what's 1.2 divided by 12? 100K. Honestly, you cannot raise 100K. So if you are going to leave this business and go out into something and you can't raise 100K, please just stay in the job. You better be thinking about something that will be able to put you in a state where you can say, if it's medical insurance, I should be able to get into a framework that allows me to pay for this medical insurance myself. If it is fuel or airtime or whatever it is, when you quantify those things per month, you'll come to a very small amount. So the corporate lie is you get help there. Some of you here work in financial institutions, so you get a very good rate of a loan, 4%, 5%, when the rest of the world is paying 18%. And you're like, I cannot leave because I have this loan. Compute. Just ask yourself, what's the difference between 18% and 4% and 5% that they're giving me? It is 10%. What does that interest mean? It's this. That's the number. Can I raise that number? Instead of thinking, oh, there are all these things I'm going to be missing, just ask yourself, what is it that I need to raise? So instead of thinking, there are all these benefits I'm losing, ask yourself, what am I receiving and what do I need and what can I raise to make sure that I plug those? In my story, I think I've talked about 5 or so career movements, something like that. In none of those career movements did I leave for a job. I wasn't leaving to start a particular job. I was leaving and then the other thing comes. Okay, the very first one from KPMG to Acclaim was to a job. But after that, I would leave and then this thing, I go for it. When I was ready to go and start my consulting firm, you're thinking, who knows me? No one knows me. But the other things I talked about of apprenticeship, putting in the time, putting in all these things, I had done them before. I had prepared myself before, knowing that by the time I go out, I will have built a bit of a profile. I will have learned how to win new business. I will have learned how to do my craft very well. That's why I said, burn that midnight candle, put in the time, improve yourself well enough, try out, pilot, pay, get paid nothing, get paid a little, so that you're able to have a proof of concept. Some of you work so hard. I'm not saying you should leave your employers. You work so hard for your employers that if you worked that hard for yourself, you'd be thriving. I'm not saying you should leave. I'm just saying that if you worked as hard as you work now for your employer and you were working that way for yourself, you'd be thriving. So for me, because when I'm leaving, I am never afraid as I'm leaving. Do I have a stash of huge sums of money before I leave? No. Do I have some basics that I've worked out of? What are my daily, my weekly, monthly expenses? To what extent can I meet them? Yes. Can I sustain that for this period? Yes, I can. The rest, go and make this thing work. So when I left to start my consulting firm, I said, this firm has to work. When it has to work, it works, you know. But when you're there, I'm trying to do it, but my salary rate is going to land anyway. You're not going to push it. Let me tell you guys, there is a way your brain can work when you make that decision. Your brain gets into, you get ideas, people that you fear talking to, you just go. You say, well, what's the worst that can happen? I'm going to talk to this person for business. And guess what? You even get that business like, hey, what was I fearing? But when you have like a job that's busy paying, you're like, I will appear desperate if I go for that one. I'll appear. You begin to give yourself reasons. So for me, if I believe that I have built my profile well enough, I can put in my energy, I have built my work ethic, the same value I have been giving to my employer, I can give to the next employer. This is for people who are going to business. Of course, you're going to nothing, maybe. But there are those who are changing career from one to another career. As you're changing, we said, while you are in this career, go and volunteer time. So by the time you move, you're not going at zero. You're not going at the bottom of the pyramid. You're going when you've, picked a bit of skills. Some people you've gotten a bit of feedback, and people can tell you, yeah, you do well here. Oh no, here you need to improve a bit. Take time, get feedback, yearn for feedback, and be able to improve yourself. But personal financial discipline is very, very, very important. If you have significant debt, you begin thinking, how long would it take me to clear this debt or to reduce it significantly to a level that brings me freedom? So if you have debt, you begin and you become a target worker. That I am going to work for this season to clear this thing here, and then I'm going for this particular thing. Or I'll have the debt, I will manage to pay for this thing in this particular way. I'll pay for this thing in this particular way. Let's go for it. But above all, I don't know how many people here have trust in their God. For me, as I am living all these things, I get a peace of mind. I pray to my God, and I get a peace of mind about what I'm doing. And I will tell you, when I've left these jobs, my message has always been that that organization is not my provider. God is my provider. He provides to me through whatever job that he brings, and he will provide. And I will tell you, all these departures that I have never been through a situation where I have gone begging, gone lacking. God has provided for me. I didn't sit back and began praying fasting just. No, I was putting in the time. But the doors start opening. There are doors that would never open. I told you in my first year of consulting, I went to 5 countries. My friend, I had not been to any of those countries. But when I leave is when these things begin to come. All of a sudden, they begin to come. Those opportunities were not showing up before. Sometimes when you're holding onto something too much and someone wants to give you something, sorry, I touched the. So you're holding onto something someone wants to give you, but you're holding, and they say, open your hands. Open your hands like this, and I give you. So sometimes you just need to open your hands and receive. So for me, faith has been a major, major factor in those movements as well. Discipline, but also faith. And also my hard work and my in my delivery.
Thank you so much, Alfred. Nulian, ask your question, then we'll go to the question in the chat.
All right. Thanks a lot, Coach Samuel. And thanks a lot, Alfred. It's really an honor and pleasure listening from you. I've been your follower on LinkedIn. We're friends for over a year, but this is such an amazing set of wisdom that you've given me this evening. Most importantly, as part of my resolutions for the new year, as Coach has said, I'm Noreen. I'm an engineer by profession, and also I'm in leadership, actually. And one of my resolutions this year was to go into corporate governance. And I've seen from your LinkedIn and your experience, you've really served on boards from the time you are around your early 30s or something, which is around the same age bracket I'm in right now. And as part of my journey for corporate governance, I've realized that in a modern day boardroom setting, as part of the team in a board, it's better a board that has individuals from different walks of life. Maybe you can find an auditor, like me, I'm an engineer. You can find an educationist, a doctor, as in this is what brings out the best out of the boardroom, at least the modern day boardroom. However, whenever you're coming in from the different walks of life, people have different attitudes, different behaviors. And at the end of the day, you may not all do what they call a groupthink, which is one of the most biggest deterrents of successes of a board, at least from the little knowledge that I've amassed. So from your experience, which is over 10 years in a boardroom, my first question is, how do you deal with these different dynamics, boardroom dynamics, where various individuals may have different ideas and you really want the best for the organization which you're representing? At the end of the day, the board, remember, has to be assessed. So you need to assess yourself as the entire group, but avoiding groupthink. How do you really deal, or how did you deal with the boardroom dynamics, most especially in your earlier stages when you had just begun, sitting on boards? Secondly, what would you advise for an aspiring corporate governance person like me on what are the avenues or the best channels to start volunteering so as I also grow my skills? Because as a roadmap in my own life, I've practiced engineering for quite some time. I've been in leadership in companies. I work for an international telecom company. But I see myself also in the next few years to at least, as you've mentioned, to be in a certain position where I think 80 or 90% of my work to be in boardroom related matters. Thank you.
Over to you, Alfred.
Great. Thank you. You talk about governance, which is an area that I've been passionate about for a very long time. And yes, I began my board journey so many years ago. And I knew that one of the ways that I wanted to help organizations was through boards. So I didn't join boards against purpose. I don't join boards to get money or to. I joined boards with the very same purpose of the guy in S5. How do I help these organizations structure themselves, put strategy in place, and be able to have a good direction and be able to navigate through whatever they are facing at a particular point towards a particular direction? That's the S5 guy in S5 think about that. It just keeps morphing to something different. Now, when I did work as a consultant, you would do good consulting work and go to a company and do good consulting work, and you submit your report and you just hope that they will implement. Now, the advantage that I have when I serve on boards is, as opposed to a consultant who submits his report and is told to go away, when I serve in boards, it means I have a minimum of at least 3 years in that room. Or if I serve 2 times, maybe like 6 years. And that allows me both time and opportunity to be able to help that organization to be able to change. And even for the boards that I serve in, I don't serve up to whenever God calls me away from it. I serve for a specific time, and in that period, I know that my purpose is to go and help change this and that, improve this and that. And once that is done, I normally step out and go. Now, what did I do? I studied governance. I spent my time studying governance. At the university, I do recall I wanted to, my thesis was going to be about corporate governance at the time. That's when Enron was going down. I studied Enron. I studied Arthur Anderson. I studied many of those things, though my lecturer couldn't supervise it, so I didn't manage to do it as my thesis. But I studied self-study, combined code, Cadbury code, King 3 report at that time in South Africa, then now King 4, now King 5, Sarbanes-Oxley in the US. I said governance in Australia, governance in the UK, governance in Africa, governance in South Africa, governance. I began studying governance in all these places. I even then was able to come up with a product in Uganda, which is called Rent a Board, which was something I just came up with in thinking that many small and medium enterprises don't have boards, and we created the Rent a Board. And the thrust around it was, in most organizations, most of the corporates that we have, the board hires the CEO. But in the majority of businesses, 78% of the GDP of the world is in family businesses. Now, the majority of businesses are family businesses, where the owner is the one who invites you to come to the board. It is not you who the board that fires and hires the CEO. For the majority, sometimes it's the CEO who hires the board. That governance model is not talked about in Cadbury, in King 3, in King 4, King 5. It's not. So I began crafting different models of governance to say, what is it that we can do in this setting where the CEO is the owner of the business? He hires you on the board, but you're able to serve them, and there's accountability and there's what. So for me, it allowed me to craft and create new models of governance, for example. But it came from study. I put in the time, not from examinations, not from what, but from self-study, because I knew I wanted to bring value. What is it that you do if there are people with different ideas? First and foremost, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. If you have diversity on a board and people have different ideas, as long as they're not killing each other, you want that. You want different perspectives. You want diversity. That's why when you're setting up a board, you want diversity. These days they say, okay, we want men, we want ladies, we want children. I mean, not children, but youths. Or the point is to try and get different perspectives, so you can see this thing from all the different angles and make a good decision. So if in a board everyone just is agreeing in the same direction and you're ending up in groupthink, then you are not bringing value to that board. You become a rhino, like we normally say. Rhino, really here in name only. Rhino. So you're just there to say, me, I'm on the board of, me, I'm on the board of, by the way, I'm on the board of. No, you're going to bring value. You have to bring value. What did I say? Today you have things like Journey to the Boardroom. Journey to the Boardroom, run by Janet Navuga, participating in that thing. Very good program. There is Women on Boards, where I also facilitate. Go and participate, go and attend, go and learn what happens in the boardroom from people that have been in the boardrooms, for quite a while. There's Leading Boards Africa. There's a number of those today, which were not there, of course, at the time. I was learning by volunteering. Where did I start? I began by volunteering in not-for-profits. I began by volunteering in small organizations where if we make a mistake, I won't go to Luzira. Volunteered there, learned my way, kept studying. I said volunteerism. And then got to a point where I said, at time X in my life, I will be on boards which pay me money. All these boards were voluntary. They were all, I was chairing at some point 8 boards, and all of them are voluntary. Then I said at point X, I will start transitioning into boards that can now pay for the value that I'm going to bring into the room. So it wasn't a case of wake up one day and you're on this board, but I volunteered, I went through the process, I paid my school fees through bringing my full self to the room. And the other thing is, if you bring your authentic self to the room, you bring your value to the room, you always find value you bring to the space. You always find value. And if you get to a point and you feel you're not bringing value to the space, please step down. Have the professionalism to say, thank you guys for the opportunity, but I feel I'm not bringing, and I've done that many times. Either I can't bring the value because I've done enough and the value is there, or the environment is not allowing me to be able to bring value. I step down and I say goodbye. So what I'd say, diversity on boards is very important. Put in your time as a volunteer, study governance, understand governance, challenge yourself, create. Like I said, create. Ask yourself, how does governance in Chukubo work? How would governance work in Chukubo, for example? Disturb yourself with things like that. Challenge your mind. Go and sit down with the guys in Chukubo and ask them and find out if you can create a governance model for them. I'm just giving an example. But because I'm so passionate about governance as a tool to help me to be able to achieve my purpose, I'm able to do that. Because I want to help people in their leadership, I am writing 3 times a week about leadership. I'm sharing leadership conversations. This aligns to my purpose. I'm not even paid to write these things that I write, but I know that people read these things and are able to implement them. And fewer people will go home frustrated because their manager didn't know what to do, And that's purpose and that's impact. That's changing lives even where people are not paying me. In fact, most of the lives that I influence, I don't even get paid for them. And I thank God that I'm able to get paid enough wherever I am to be able to bring purpose, ultimately.
Great.
Coach, I'm so passionate about these subjects. I may talk to you tomorrow. So back to you.
Thank you so much. And I know that we will have you more even in the programs that we are trying to plan. So Nurian is one of those that have aspired to join the Transformational Professionals Club. So he will greatly benefit from the career transition program that we are trying to put together with Alfred. So I believe that we'll be able to get into depth. There are some questions that I just want to read here, and you see how to be able to respond to them. And I like one of the questions that has come through is from one of our members called Justine. Justine is a teacher, and she says, how can a classroom teacher strategically repackage their pedagogical, counseling, and learner-centered skills to align with NGO program roles while also addressing the common perception that teaching experience is too school-bound and may not directly translate into community-based or development work? That is one question. Can I also just read maybe another question?
Am I going to get a doctorate for that answer? Please go ahead.
Okay. So there's another question from Mr. Tumukunde, who says, "Thank you, Alfred, for the session. What is something you got wrong or mistake that you'd advise?" Okay, basically a mistake that I think you got wrong that you'd advise those in the careers that they can learn from and maybe avoid. That's from Bright Tumukunde. Another question comes here, says, "Help Alfred, how do you advise someone, me specifically, who is been in a job for long and seems to have lost their purpose and maybe survival and the paycheck is all that matters at this point? They never get to think of transitioning." That is from Fred. Yeah, quite a number of questions that are coming through here. There's one last one, I think, for now. What was the distinguishing in your career work journey, and how do you manage or overcome? Okay, what was that disguising in your career or work journey, and how did you manage or overcome it? Please highlight to us with examples to install in us a better understanding and take on. This is from Phil. So these are some of the questions that have come through.
I don't think I've understood that very well, that particular one.
Okay, maybe I'm going to, you can answer those and I'll ask Phil to just ask that question.
Okay. There's a question, you just help me quickly remind me, but there was a question around you've been in a job for long and you're in survival mode, you're simply trying to meet needs of your family, and there's a sense of you giving up. First to say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if that is where you are and that is how you feel about your life. Because one of the saddest things in life is a person living in a life that is not theirs, is a person climbing a career ladder that is not theirs, only to figure out at the end of the day that they were on a wrong ladder, wrong wall they were climbing up. I do believe that God created all of us to thrive. God placed in us, and I'm not just saying this for Christians, whether in our language, in Luganda, you have someone called Katonda. Katonda means to create. So there's someone who created you. Even before these people came, we had a Katonda. In Runyoro, we have Lohanga. We have Chibumba. There's someone who created us. When God created each and every one of us, He placed certain abilities innate in you. He placed certain desires and passions in you. When I was telling you that things I've kept hearing calling out to me, those are things that God placed in me. I didn't create them. My ability to simplify things in my trainings is not something I learned as a skill. It is a gifting that God placed in me for me to be able to use it. Now, what I'd like to ask of us is to take a moment and meet yourself. Meet yourself. I went through a journey called Alfred to meet Alfred. So let's have Sharon meet Sharon, Arnold meet Arnold. Take a time to study who is Alfred, who is Arnold. I did a study of myself right from the time that I was born, actually before born, negative 2 years. I asked my dad and my mom, and how did you guys meet? How did I come at BTC? Up until, and I went through year by year. I looked at some of the early parts of my life. I want to study myself to see what are those things I was doing? What are my highlights during that time? If you think about your time in your primary school, what highlights do you remember that had an impact on you? What lowlights do you remember? that had impact on you. Begin to discover yourself. Begin to discover the things that you are drawn to. It is possible for you to build a career in any area in this life. Very possible for you to build a career in any of the areas that you are gifted in. It is very sad when we do this life and I mean, God didn't create you to just come and pay national water bills. That for you come to earth, pay national water bills, pay taxes, and go. No, He placed a certain space in us for a fulfillment that comes from you making someone's life better, using your abilities, using your skills. So I want to encourage you to start by finding yourself, taking a journey. I don't want to go through the whole purpose thing right now, but try to go through a process of finding your purpose. It's not too late. I want to think whoever has written that, maybe you're not 75 or whatever it is, or 80. Okay, I even know the KFC guy began at 72 and Trump became president at 72, so it's not too late. But find yourself and find that thing that you thrive in, so that not only are you getting money, but you are getting paid for things that you do and you find fulfilling to you as well. Sometimes you get to a point where you get guilty for being paid, almost guilty, like, oh, I was paid for that. It was just flowing so easy for me. So for me, it's to say, try to discover yourself. I'm sorry, like I said, for starters, try to go through a process of discovering yourself, discover your strengths. Maybe people have said things about you that have got you to, cringe down, and start finding the spark that is in you and begin to build around that and maybe try to transition away from that. While you are there, where you are, love what you're doing today. Learn to enjoy it. Learn to do it with your whole heart while you're there on your way to where you should go. That's what I can say for now. Hey, what mistakes did I make? Yes, Coach, you wanted to say something?
I was just saying thank you.
Right. What mistakes did I make? I've made many. My mistakes have been many. I'd like to think, although sometimes on campuses, but some of the mistakes that I have made, the way, because of that guy right from early in school who used to ask many questions and ask many things, I have been to some of my bosses. I do recall some of my first jobs that I did, and I would go as a fresher, and I go to some of my managers, and say, but man, you're saying lies to us as staff. You're lying to us. And now, today they talk about emotional intelligence and the ability to have tact when you're communicating with certain people, because they can blacklist you in your career and all. The tact levels were very low at some point in my start of the career, and I would just give it as it is, bluntly as it is. And I know that sometimes it got me into difficult places. Read some of those I just outgrew, and I began learning tact. But I still give it the truth, but I can envelope it. But the mistakes are many. If you look at some of the things I'm posting on leadership, there are a lot of mistakes I have made in leadership, for example, where there are lots of mistakes. I think you can see them on my profile. The things I have made as mistakes, and when you see me put lessons, most of those come from mistakes that I've actually made. And because I've made mistakes and tried to find another way, then I begin to share something different. So I will not dwell so much on that. The class teacher question. Coach Samuel, do you want to help me summarize it for me? The question from the teacher.
Okay. Basically, Justine is trying to transition from her teaching role to community service. But community service, and that is more like programming work, NGO. So her question is around how does she translate the skills that she has gained from the teaching journey to now use it within NGO, and how does she also change that perception that people usually have with people who are living the teaching, more like that teaching is a bit too, like teaching experience is too school bound and may not really translate into community-based environment. So it's more like skills transfer, and how does she transfer those skills to something else?
Right. No, I think I'd say first do a skills audit itself. List the skills that you have. List what it is that you can do in that space, for starters. And don't leave out any, don't make any look. When you're teaching, I'll just give you a few examples. When you're teaching children, it means you have a way in which you're able to help them to understand concepts. That's a skill. When you're doing community service and you want to have behavioral change from one thing to another, you have to have an ability to get a language that helps them to understand. As a teacher, you come down to the level of children, you think like children, and then you're able to pass on knowledge to them and they'll get it. When you go to the community, you need to think like the community, understand the community, and pass on. It's just the same thing. So just list out all your different skills. Now, me, I told you I became a trainer. What I was doing with my friends in class, I found myself now doing in trainings. I find myself doing what I'm doing now. I homeschool my older children, by the way. I didn't even go to class to do that. But I homeschool because I transferred the same skill set. So list out your skills and then get to find out what are the key competencies that are required where you want to go. Then see which skills that you have that you can just try to, accentuate, try to improve, and try to build around to be able to apply them in the other setting. Meanwhile, go volunteer in the space where you want to go. Just go and volunteer, try out under some people who are doing that already. Go and sit at people's feet and learn from there. I can guarantee you will find that you have skills that you learned in class that you can pass on. Teachers learn psychology, for example. Community behavioral change is about psychology. You will be able to transfer your psychology that you learned from class and transfer it to this side. There are many other things. Someone asked a question as well about business. Someone talked about how do I know from an NGO to a business now that Donald Trump has happened to us. Many NGOs and businesses are exactly the same. They just have different names. In a business, the person who pays and the person who takes the product is the same. In an NGO, the difference is you have one person paying and another consuming, but it's a product. In business, we talk about go and do market research. In NGO, we say go and do a baseline survey. In a business, we talk about KPIs. And we talk about KPIs and OKRs and all that. In the NGO, they also talk about indicators, process indicators, they talk about impact indicators, they talk about output indicators. These things are the same. It's just that they're given different names. So the very same person who was going to do baseline survey in your community, use the same skill and go and do market research to the customers you're going to serve. These skills are transferable. Just sit and think about it. These skills are transferable. Coach Samuel is one of those who has done NGO and done, he's been able to transfer this. It's very possible. Just don't underlook any of these skills. Look at them and say, I have this skill. I was giving you examples of a mother and the skills a mother has. A mother that has mothered children, the skills that you have, or a big sister that has, sometimes you interview her and said, if you have brothers or sisters, are you firstborn, secondborn? You find someone who was firstborn and has 5 kid brothers or sisters, quite responsible, is used to pushing things around. Those are transferable skills. And don't look down on them. Apply them. Apply them. That's what I can say for now. I hope it's helpful. But just don't look down on any of your skills.
All right. Thank you. We are 3 minutes to 9, and we really want to appreciate you, Alfred, for that. I don't know if even for our participants, we request maybe 5 minutes such that we can just be able to answer Philip's question. And then I saw a question from somebody who is in their second year, who is at university doing a similar course that you did, and they're joining the employment market, and they would want you to just give them words of wisdom as they join the workplace. I believe that they will really be benefiting from that conversation. So Phil, please ask your question. I'm giving you rights to unmute. Unmute and ask your question.
Yes, thank you so much, Coach Samuel, and thank you, Mr. Alfred, for giving me this opportunity to express my question. Yeah, I was like, what was that disguising in your career or work journey, and how did you manage or overcome it? Like, for example, giving the examples that can install us or that we can copy to correct ourselves and move forward. Thank you.
I haven't understood the bit of what was that disguising. I haven't understood that very well.
Okay, for example, like what was that you didn't like in your work journey, and how did you manage to fix that was not right? You felt it not right. Thank you.
Okay, great. No, that's again another very good question. Now, I think for me, one interesting thing was attitude. Sometimes they say your attitude plus your aptitude is equal to your altitude. Your attitude plus your altitude, plus your aptitude is equal to how high you can go. The thing I mentioned earlier, where I said, if you think you're too big for small things, you may be too small for big things. Now, for me, attitude helped me quite a lot. And there are a lot of things that you'll be asked to do, which many times you just couldn't explain away. Why am I even being asked to do this kind of thing? But then, because of attitude, you'd find yourself aligning to that particular thing to learn. I'll give you an example. When I just even joined my very first job, if my laptop had a problem and the IT guy comes to pick the laptop to work on it, I would follow him. My hunger for learning, I would say, what are you doing? What are you looking for? What are you? Of course, they would say, you're too nosy, you're too into me. I was thinking, I'm going to open my farm one day and I may not have money to pay people who do these laptops. I want to see what you do. So I was too nosy getting into people's spaces. But I wanted to learn. I get to the manager, he said, can I do the proposals that you're doing? He said, man, you're still in first year. What do you know? I say, okay, let me try. I will spoil it, but you will correct me after that. So I wasn't into people's spaces. So I know at some point, maybe I was seen to be a bit too much. Yeah, I was one of those people that you would say was too much, but I was hungry. I was hungry for learning. So it took me to places and stepped on things I should not have, I think. But for me, the hunger is what kept me going and kept me doing things I shouldn't have done, maybe. I slept in office sometimes to just push myself to learn. Those are things I would not have wanted to do, but the hunger to learn, again, helped me to go through that. But then values. I never crossed my values. If it's something that was going against my values, there we would fight. I defended my values like a problem. That's one of the things that I know I did very, very well. But I know that I was nosy in people's spaces, but I was trying to sniff and learn. And I'm happy that I did. There was a question of someone who is in second year and asking what they need to do to be able to get into the space. One, I want to ask that while you are at school, while you're at university, be present. Be so present that you cannot be missed. There are people you think of who were in your class at university and you can't even remember them. I can guarantee you there's no classmate of my year that has forgotten me. Why? I was chief fresh at the university. I was the course chairman from year 1 to year 3. I was the minister of education. I was there. I was applying myself. When we went to start work and they asked me, what else do you bring? I said, you are getting a leader. You are getting someone who takes initiative. You're getting someone so improve yourself beyond academics. Because when you come and someone is interviewing you and all you have is a first-class degree and there's nothing else to offer, then you will not be seen as someone who will bring more value to the organization. What else do you bring beyond your academics? So I encourage you to apply yourself. Apply yourself. Learn, apply yourself. If there's leadership, take it up. If there's things to volunteer, I've always been very willing to serve and very willing to put myself into those spaces. So for now, do that. Be so hungry to learn. In my year, at the time of when I was in university, we didn't have internships in my years. So we even formed Makerere University Accounting Students Association. I don't know if it's still there in MOOPS. We formed it so we could start connecting to people at work. I remember going to PwC, going to where saying, guys, we need to connect, we need to learn. I was just a student. and pushing all those things. So be present, apply yourself, you will be seen, and opportunities will come. Be faithful where you are. That's what I can say.
Thank you so much, Alfred. You've really broken that down. And we have an opportunity that Alfred will be part of a program that we're going to run with him. So in case this conversation matters to you, please be in the watch of communications that will be coming through your emails, through the phone numbers that you registered for this session, such that we can be able to learn more from him. I just want to welcome Charity Nyochuti to come and deliver our thanks to our speaker, but also share on how people who have joined us today can be part of the Transformation Professionals Club. Charity.
Thank you so much, Coach Samuel, and can see the smile. Thank you so much, Alfred. I don't know where to start from, but I would like to take this opportunity to share that I met Alfred 10 years back, and what amuses me is he is still the same person I met. And for me, what does that thing teach me? It's being authentic, be you. And if you were listening so clearly, he kept on saying, be present. Like let them know that you're there. I met him in a room of managers. By that time, I didn't know what I was asking, but Alfred kept on leaning in. The English wasn't Englishing, but he kept on affirming me. And one thing I can tell you, I felt valued, and I think it was one of the first time like to be in the spaces like that. And for me, that's what I can share about. There are so many assignments he has been giving us in his speech. My notebook is full. And Alfred, I want to thank you so much. Thank you for being a good example, a leader that we look up to. And me personally, I got an opportunity to meet Alfred over the weekend, and it was so fulfilling to meet that person who keep on inspiring you. And why did I meet him and how did I meet him? Because I'm a member of TPC. I belong to the club and I support like on that team. TPC, what we do is to bring professionals for this kind of conversation, to have real conversation. And I kept on sharing with people. They kept on, actually one thought that saying human being, it was a mistake, until I told them, no, you come and have a conversation with a real human being. And you can see that you've had the conversation. It's been real, and that's what we do. TPC, we have 4 pillars. One is connect. That is number 1. And please note, they're in that order. The second is learn. The third one is grow. The fourth one is earn. So what we do, members from all walks of life, they join us, and we keep on learning, relearning from one another, and so much has happened. And sometimes on Saturday we are meeting, and of course, you know, different mindsets, different reasoning, different exposure. We got an opportunity to meet the Commissioner General, and people like keep making fun. I saw on one of like the person we're with, someone was like, I hope now you got an appointment to URA. And yes, I wouldn't want to be so quick to say that person is mean. No, it's where they are coming from. But for me, what I keep saying is sometimes it's so much that you become when you meet with these people, when you sit in this conversation and listen to Alfred sharing and you hear his personal journey, his true life. Trust me, so many things have to change about, unless, and after hearing this, I hope we are going out to change. And if you've also heard and noted, and even Alfred's LinkedIn, if you follow him, whenever you thank him, I've thanked him for changing, for impacting me, and he receives the appreciations, and at the end he tells you, go and pay it forward, go and do to others as it has been done to you. So you can see for him is after impacting one, another who will impact another, and all that. So basically, TPC, for now, we are charging 250,000 shillings. And as you have seen, there are so many programs that are even charging in dollars and all that. For us to charge, it's not to charge that money. It's not any mistake. For us, it's the passion. The founder, Coach Samuel, is very passionate about growth and career advancement, and we desire that everyone will have a community. And we keep sharing that even when you don't choose TPC for different reasons, maybe you're in another community, we are not telling you that leave that community and join TPC. However, we would like you to be part of us. And even when you don't choose us, please make it a point to belong somewhere else. So that's what we charge. That is for 1 year. For now, that's what we are charging. Things might change. And if you're ready and you're in position to be part of the community, is a link we shared on the chat. And it will be a pleasure to work with you, to hear these conversations every day. We have side chats that we have as paid up members. Those are TPC members. The link we are giving you is to be part of our bigger community. That is free. And we hope that when you join, you find people, you connect with people, you have real conversations that you cannot have with anyone else. And thank you so much once again for joining us. We know it's a Friday, so many things to attend, so many outings, so many. And if you're on LinkedIn, there are so many things these days, so many platforms to be part of, and they have very good content, very good information. But the fact that you choose TPC, we don't take it for granted. We appreciate you. And our hope is that you will act, you will put into practice whatever you have learned. And as you've heard Mr. Alfred, that's all is asking us, to pay it forward, to impact with the knowledge that we have got. Once again, thank you so much, Mr. Alfred. We wish you all the best. Keep impacting. Yes, thank you very much, Coach, for this opportunity, and all the members. Feel free to ask, join the community. You can even when you join the community, I use my name as Nchuti Charity. You can ask anything. Even on LinkedIn, you have a page. Ask. We'll be able to respond to you. And yes, come be part of the community. Thank you so much. Over to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Charity, and thank you so much for delivering those things to our speaker. And as mentioned, we'll be communicating to you the next program that we'll be having with Mr. Alfred. But also to highlight that on 2nd May, we are planning a TPC Connect physical session. We'll be able to share the details. We also have a public speaking program that is running, and the next cohort is scheduled for June. So we have quite a number of programs. So join our WhatsApp group. We'll be able to share more on that. I just want to welcome Alfred to give us closing remarks, and we'll end this session. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd actually just put my closing remarks in the chat, and I was saying thank you, everyone, for spending this evening with with me for an outing. We took each other out this evening, and I pray that you will find something, maybe one or two things or three things that you can apply to your life, that you will remember, and that they will just turn your life around. That's why you've been held by something and you've been, struggling with some things, that you'll find something that will help you to be able to flourish, and be the best that you can be. And when you learn and you're able to apply yourself and you thrive, please pay it forward. Please share your life, teach others the same that has worked for you. What has worked for me may not be what is going to work for you. I was just sharing my life and examples and stories from my life. Maybe there's a lot that you've also gone through that you can be able to use to teach others. My path is different from your path. So off your path, bless people, teach people. Ultimately, I pray and ask of you just to be human and be human, and God bless you all richly. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Alfred, and thanks so much, everyone, for coming through. You can be able to live at your own choice. I'm going to play a TPC video for those that would want to just learn more about what we do. Feel free to just see what.
Hey, my name is Samuel Yolanda, and I'm the founder of the Transformational Professionals Club. I'm here to tell you about this community. So this community has been in place for now 1 year, and we started in December the 14th. So why did we start this community? We found out that many professionals are living in the times where everything is changing, but themselves are not changing. So we came up with this community to be able to help professionals transform. So why did we choose the word Transformation Professionals Club? One, we chose the word club because we wanted a community that can be able to help nurture people, a community which is a safe space for people. So we felt a club environment would help such kind of professionals looking for where they can connect, learn, grow, and earn. So we called it a club. And now why we called it transformational? Because we believe that professionals do not just start from the top. It's a journey of transformation, just like the way you see a butterfly start as a caterpillar and now come through as a butterfly. Each one of us, every day, we're actually transforming into something. So being able to be part of a Transformation Professionals Club makes you to be in an environment that helps you to be able to grow with the changing times. Either today you're working, or the next time you're out of employment, transitioning into something else, either to start your business or to just go into retirement. The Transformation Professionals Club is an environment that grows with you. So that's why we felt that we need to have this community that helps you on that journey. Now, when you look at our logo, you realize that we start with a small t. Now, that small t is not just for graphics. The small t means that each one of us have humble beginnings. And when we embrace our humble beginnings, we can actually grow into people that we're actually proud of. So that's why we felt that we're not just here for the people who are champions. We are here for those that are beginning. We are there for those that are just starting out. And we believe that just as we started out within our journeys, ourselves as an individual, myself inclusive, we believe that even you who is interested in your growth, who is interested in being a change maker within this country, within this world, you can start small and you can become something out there. So that is why we have this Transformation Professionals Club. Now, I know what is now into your mind, the benefits. What are some of the benefits? Now, one, I'll pick it from our key pillars, which is one is connect. Now, when you're part of the Transformation Professionals Club, you have an opportunity to connect with different professionals. We've always heard about this thing that your network is your net worth. And that means that when you're part of a community, you have a ground to be able to tap into the resources that other people are bringing. But also it helps you to be able to get people that will actually be able to support your vision. It's more of an iron sharpens iron, and that is why we are together as a community. So connection is a very important benefit that you really get from us. Now, the other that we also call our key pillar is the learning. Now, we don't just want to be in a community where we're just connecting, like the way people go to maybe to a bar and are just drinking and maybe they are not doing anything around it. So we want to make sure that when you're part of us, you're learning, we are growing. Each one of us can learn from each other. And that is why we organize these weekly webinars where we learn from each other. We have mentors and coaches that are part of the program. So these come through to be able to teach us, to be able to give us insights, to share from their experience. You might be going through a situation that you think is actually challenging, but if somebody who has gone through the same shares from their journey, you're able to pick one or two things, and before you know it, you're being transformed yourself. So that is one of the other benefits that you really benefit, the benefit of learning. So we also organize different master classes, different mentorship programs. We just completed our public speaking and communications program where we've equipped mentees on various aspects. We go into other topics like personal branding, identifying your purpose, personal leadership, quite a lot of materials that are designed to help you as a professional be able to grow from wherever you are to something great. So that is what we do. So the next aspect is the growth. Now there's learning. Remember we said we connect, we learn, and now we have an aspect of growth. Now we do not just want you to learn, a kind of scenario where you're learning as much as you can. We are so privileged that we are in an information age where you can find any information elsewhere, but how are you able to grow? So the community provides that accountability to enable your growth, the inspiration for your growth, the guidance for your growth. Through our mentors, we're able to watch you do what you do. We give you feedback, and before you know it, you're able to transform. I'll give you an example. We've been able to see a lot of transformation. I'll give you an example. We have one of our last participants of the public speaking and communication skills program, Charity, who works with the URA. She has been very transformative in her journey of public speaking. She started with some fears, yet she actually was confident. So when she got the feedback from the public speaking mentorship program, she was able to pick up, and now she's actually a vibrant person. She's starting her YouTube channel. She's running with her Come Alive program, and she's going to transform other people. Even for Linda Charlotte, who joined us also, she's an entrepreneur, passionate about the young girls. She is going to do great work because she gained this public speaking. She's going to tell her story because there are quite a lot of young women out there that would love to hear the stories. So make sure that you come through and be able to develop yourself, be able to grow in the process, and before you know it, the world is watching out for you. The world is respecting you. The world is giving you a platform to be able to shine and to transform lives. So that is the aspect of growth. And then the other last one is the earning component. Why? Because we believe that when you earn, when you create income for yourself, that income is actually used to propel your purpose, but also to impact others. So we live in an era where there are lots of professionals that have a lot of knowledge, but because they have been designed in a way that they only think about employment, when the job is away, they can't survive. So we created the Transformational Professionals Club to be a ground to help you be able to create multiple income streams. And we have seen this. We have people who came through as just employees, but now they have created businesses. They are earning from their passions. They are doing a lot of things within the community, not just only for money, but also for impact. And at the end of the day, their brands have been able to grow, and that at the end of the day has transformed in terms of income. Even those that are employed, we've seen people who came through without jobs, but now they have jobs and now they are earning. We've seen people who came through as officers, but now we are seeing them grow into supervisory roles, into managerial roles. There's a lot of transformation that we've seen within our mentees, especially in our first year. And we believe that this journey will actually continue, because when we train and mentor our mentees, these mentees now transform to become mentors. And before we know it, we are going to have a transformed world. And what a time for us to be part of this journey that is actually transforming the nation. So I believe that if you're watching me and you're not part of the community, this is a call out for you. This is a time for you to be able to join us such that we can be able to move together. And I know that you could have maybe other clubs that you're part of. What we are calling out for you is to make sure that in whatever you're doing, you're transforming lives, you're connecting, because through connection, you're able to again elevate yourself and add value to the connections, but also tap into the values and resources that the connections bring. So those are the benefits that you get when you are a member. And I believe that you'll be able to walk this journey. We have membership programs that run for a year, but before, as you even go through the processes, you also be able to gain lesser discounts, part of our programs that we usually have. If you're a member, you have that extra benefit. You also have an advantage of being able to book, let's say, a mentorship or a coaching session with one of our mentors, and you will be transformed in the process. And I believe that you will not regret being part of this community. Make the new year to be transformation for you, because you're going to join a good community. So I want to say thank you so much for watching, and I believe that we'll be able to meet and connect and see how we can be able to grow together, learn, and do greater things, because the world is waiting for us, and we are the people, we are the leaders, we are here to transform. Thank you so much, and may God bless you.